Hello and welcome to another episode of Earth911's Sustainability in Your Ear. It's the podcast to learn about recycling, sustainability, and in this case, solar energy, particularly home solar installations. And we're really pleased to be joined by Pablo Diaz, who is the CEO and founder of Direct Solar America. You can find them at directsolaramerica.com. They are a provider of installation services. They connect you with the right solar installer to get your home online and to do it with the best price and with the greatest reliability. Pablo was just recently, by the way, named one of the top 20 dynamic CEOs in America by CEO Magazine. Welcome to the show, Pablo. How's it feel to be dynamic?
Well, I knew, hello, pleasure. Thank you to have me on. And I knew I was always a bit excitable. Now I have a word. It's dynamic. Okay, great. Good. So I'm proud of it for sure.
Well, good. Hey, I want to start off by talking just kind of about the state of the industry because of the lockdown. How's solar installation doing, given all of the interruptions in normal life? Are installers able to do what they do, or are they prevented from working in many states?
So solar is always regional. And when I try to explain that to people, it's regional for its subsidies, which are based on a per location basis, but also it's also regional relative to its electrical code. And it's also regional relative to the experience that the country's having. So the first, let's just say, March, when we were all hit with the COVID surprise, even though it shouldn't have been a surprise, it was a surprise. And it locked down pretty much the whole country for about 2 solid months. So installations were difficult, sales were difficult, everybody, the full economy, semi-shut down. So since then, though, the more adept, larger, well, I wouldn't even say larger institutions, but it requires a lot of infrastructure. We've been able to maneuver and restart the engine, the sales engine, the installation engine. So some locations have opened up sooner than others. And, as an example, Florida opened up pretty soon, but now we're having some recoil. Illinois is still semi-closed down. So it's regional.
Now, do you see the industry not growing this year, or will it continue to grow as it has been for the last 5-6 years?
So right now we have about 2% market penetration on a national basis, right? And what does that mean? That means it's still a huge untapped marketplace. Will it grow? Yes. Will it grow at the same clip? We lost a whole quarter. So a whole quarter is not as good. That's significant. Will there be positive effects? Absolutely. But, there is the reality of that quarter that we lost.
Sure.
So it's still upward trajectory.
And, it seems to me, based on conversations both with my neighbors and a lot of service people that I know, that folks are spending more money on their homes. Just because that's where they are now all the time. Last year at about this time, the Solar Energy Industries Association reported that there had been about 2 million installations across the United States, about 48% of them in California, and then the rest spread out over the country. And they're expecting the industry to reach 4 million installations by 2023. Do you feel like that's all on track? I mean, are we going to bounce back?
Definitely. It's on track. And then there's the other reality that, we are spending more time at our home. And while we're here at the house, we're looking at other, tangible realities, right? Grids go down around the whole nation. So one of the things that solar is on top of an economic benefit, it's also safety. And people are looking for that safety reality. As far as growth, Forbes, ran an article recently that we're barely at our inception stage of our trajectory growth. So there's going to be a big spurt here, a big upward spurt, and specifically on the legislation drive too. If Joe Biden's $2 trillion plan is injected, oh my goodness, you're going to see the numbers on the numerics that are expected on that are really impressive.
Well, now, we'll talk about Biden's plan and Trump's approach to solar as well in a moment, but let me ask a couple of just practical questions about where we are with regard to solar subsidies. There's been a federal solar investment tax credit for a number of years. It started off at 30%, or actually, I think it was a little higher, but it was 30% in 2019. It's 26% now. It's going to fall to 22% next year, and in 2022 is going to go down to 10%. Is And that's the federal level. There are also state incentives. How is the subsidy world looking for for solar? I mean, is this something that states in particular are going to continue to provide subsidies for?
Good question. And I get back to the regional reality of it, right? So as different states, and it doesn't matter what side of the political aisle they sit on, South Carolina as an example, pretty red state, but they've realized our grid drops down a lot because of hurricanes. It's in our best interest. The two realities: we can build $1 billion energy production facility, or we can give rebates to customers for a battery backup system. It's cheaper for South Carolina to give homeowners the capital they need to build a solar system and put a battery solution there. So no matter what, the homeowner always has electricity, and that's what states need to provide, that type of infrastructure for homeowners, versus going and building $1 billion energy production facility. So other locations, Northern Carolina, there's a lot of wildfires there. The grid goes down there all the time. They've instituted phenomenal rebates there that again help the homeowner go to an alternative energy solar solution. Illinois has got a phenomenal program. So the federal funded tax credit is funded for another 2 years, but it is dwindling, though every market analysis and insider that I speak to, we're very confident that it'll be rejuvenated with another bucket of subsidy.
So what do you think can you tell us what states are the best states to be in right now? And particularly, it's great to hear that red states are recognizing the simple practicalities of solar. Are they going to be surprising places to be to live and get solar in the future?
That's a hard analysis to say, where the evolutionary drive comes from. But what we do know the data, right? The data, 97% of people go solar for the economic benefit.
Right.
And data is data. So the political aisle doesn't, when you're looking at your economics and your treasuries are dwindling, alternative energy drives an economic stimulus. It's cheaper electricity for homeowners. It creates new jobs. It's the sun, which is easily attainable. So we are seeing red states move in that direction. High locations that are great places to be for solar. Obviously, California, the Carolinas are doing really good. Florida, Texas, the Eastern Board, anywhere there's expensive electricity, that's always it's always a super benefit to have a solar solution versus the electricity you have to buy from the utility company. So it's Northeast, Northwest, the South, Southwest, the Midwest, and Central South is lagging a little bit, but we're even seeing progress there. The paradigm has shifted, Mitch. The paradigm has shifted. We are going through an energy transformation from fossil fuels to alternative energy.
So, these tax deductions and the conversation about the recovery from the pandemic bring us to the important question is, how do you think, from your perspective, renewable energy is going to play as an election issue this year? Where do you see things falling out right now?
Definitely. Well, I know that just from looking at Biden's plan, it gave him a surge in the polls, right? Everybody, regardless, and then we're seeing this again, regardless of where you sit in the political aisle, climate change is a reality. All you simply need to do is look at some NASA photos and seeing the ice melting in the Arctic. So it's something that across full spectrum, a generational thing, that people want a healthy Earth. It's good for us economically. It's good for our children and their children. The individuals that try to deny that reality that's so simple to view and see in our everyday life, I think they're going to cause themselves a lot of political pain.
So let me ask about a couple of specific election-related issues. So you mentioned that you think that solar tax credits are going to be extended at the national level. Do we need to elect a Congress that will do that? Or does it depend on the president providing guidance?
What I've seen with the organization, everything starts from the top, and trickles down. Mm-hmm. It would be great if our administration, regardless of whatever administration it is, can acknowledge our world events. You have every country in the world part of the Paris Climate Agreement, except for Syria, Venezuela, and the United States. There's a lot of energy policy being created at that level. Where we're not sitting at the table, then we're not able to structure that policy to be most advantageous for our country. So will we get back to Paris Agreement? For sure. And ultimately, it's in our interest economically, from a national security perspective, and politically.
Well, let's talk about national security, because energy independence here at home, which currently depends largely on oil, can be improved by shifting to the renewable energy, particularly solar, because it provides the other benefits that you talked about. It gives an individual building its own power source. They don't have to be connected to the grid when things go down. It's a better economic decision. But how does that change our ability to compete globally, and particularly to maintain the security of the homeland that we all love to talk about these days?
Absolutely. The energy grid is one of our most important infrastructure realities that we have. Without energy, where would we be? Right? But at the same time, it's one of the most vulnerable infrastructure needs that's accessible to viruses and whatnot. So there's lots of articles and data on this, that it's an area we need to improve on. One of the quickest ways to resolve that reality, if our grid was attacked and we were shut down, is having solar as a solution. Mm-hmm. And for all the discussions that we've already had, right, it's an economic benefit for the host or for the individual who owns the solar reality, and it provides national security, and that we can still continue to function should a virus be inserted into our grid. We're vulnerable there, but we have solutions, and alternative energy is definitely one of them.
Now, one of the problems that we have in talking about this in this country, which has led us to leave the Paris Accord, for instance, is that this is an ideological issue. Climate change and the whole notion that we need to move off of petrochemicals has, in many cases, just defies science-based discussion, and it's all about what people believe. How do you find, and you've worked both in the U.S. and Canada on this, how do you find you get through that ideological barrier? Is it all about the bottom line and people making money?
As materialistic as this sounds, yes, but it's a good yes, right? In this reality, we help people that if they have a ideological hurdle that's working, great, make more money in the process then. So we accomplish both tasks. Yes, people, that'll drive the agenda, and then in the process, it wants to help people who don't want to help themselves. So yes, that's the great driving force. It really is.
So, the solar industry since 2006 has created 114,000 jobs, and we're only at 2% market penetration right now. This is a business that could be 1 to 3 million workers if we really make an aggressive move into renewables. Is that viable? Do you think that'll happen? 100%.
When you think about all the different employment realities that you're creating in order to get a solar system on a house or a building, there's suppliers, there's the people that manufacture, there's the individuals that install, there's the people that sell. There's a whole infrastructure and ecosystem that's self-supporting there. So, and then there's the ancillary businesses that help support all this infrastructure. So, Franklin Roosevelt during the Great Depression, what did he do to help us get out of it? He created a huge infrastructure boom that employed millions of Americans. This is the same type of reality. We need to get into a new energy paradigm. It's happening regardless if we wanted to or not, for those that are ideologically stuck. And we want to be at the head of the policy making. So we need to get back into the table where the policy is created. And in the process, we're going to create a whole lot of jobs, millions of jobs for Americans to transition us to alternative energy, which is we don't have to dig into the ground. It's there forever, at least for the next 5 billion years. So that's long enough for me.
Well, and the thing is, the U.S. infrastructure is dated at best. There's no way to say nicely where we stand compared to the rest of the world. In many parts of the country, in many parts of the world, they've got an infrastructure that's 20 to 50 years more advanced than ours is. So I certainly hope that we're going to make that jump. So let me kind of bring this back to the homeowner who's listening to the show and ask a couple of just practical questions about when is the right time to do this. So first, are we expecting any major innovations in photovoltaic cell technology that will make them immensely more efficient, or battery technology that will be important to solar installations that people should be waiting for?
See, and that's a really good question. Unfortunately, technology usually moves in small cycles, slow, incremental. So, on reflection from the technology that we have now to 20 years ago, it's a big step. It is for sure. But that homeowner who, if he would have jumped onto solar 20 years ago, that's 20 years of savings. Right. 20 years. That's a lot. That's a six-figure savings right there. So it's, when do you go to solar? Now. Start saving money now. Immediately. Day one, you're saving money. And if which this doesn't happen much in technology, there's some great shift. We have some aha moment. There's always a transition into new technology. But you should start now because the savings needs to start immediately. The technological advancements are too incremental.
Yeah, and so not only that, it's not just the savings, it's the tax credits you're getting right now, and the fact that future technology is going to be less expensive.
For sure. Subsidies all over the place. I mean, there's utility subsidies, city subsidies, state subsidies. Everybody sees the benefit, and they're getting on to the alternative energy wave, if you will.
So tell us what happens when somebody visits directsolar.america.com. I mean, what are the steps they're going to go through in order to find the right solar installation and installer? Sure.
So a few years ago, our organization was a installation contractor, and we saw there's a natural consumer flaw for the relations between consumer and contractor. There's too much information for the consumer to know. What type of technology is the right technology? What type of financing is the right financing? Who's the right contracting partner? There's so much knowledge that needs to be known there to make the right decision that they're in a lost advantage position with the contractor. So we created Direct Solar of America to different mediums, campaign mediums. We're bringing interested parties. And then we also onboard onto our platform vetted contractors. Vetted lenders that we know are safe for the homeowner, and vetted solutions. And then we package the best solution for the homeowner. And because we're agnostic as to what solution we drive, it's a win for the customer because they have an unbiased opinion. It's a win for our contractors and our lenders because we're driving them new business. And it's a win for our shareholders. We're publicly traded, by the way. For our shareholders because there's economic benefit for us. So it's a win-win-win scenario. Very rare in business, in my opinion, that I've seen in my career.
So, folks, if you visit Direct Solar America, they just ask for your address. You put it in along with how to contact you, and you're going to start getting information about the situation at your home. So definitely take the time to check it out. Pablo Diaz, I want to thank you for spending a little time with Earth911 today.
Thank you, Tom, sir. I appreciate your time.
Well, come back and keep us up on what's going on with solar as the industry continues to evolve. Folks, this is Earth911's Sustainability in Your Ear. We're going to be back with another innovator interview soon, but I'm Mitch Ratcliffe. Check us out at earth911.com and stay tuned. Be well, everybody.